Yes, people. Welcome back to the morning stream. How are we doing today? We're going to do the morning debrief on last night's match. City getting a 1-1 result away. The first leg, Champions League, 1-1 against Real Madrid. I think it's a top result, but we're going to speak about it a lot more this morning. Obviously, Hugh's getting in on the act as well. Big up, Hugh, man. How you doing, Bray?
I'm good, man. I'm buzzing off that. I'm absolutely buzzing off that. What a performance, huh?
Well, funny you say that because the words are very interesting here. I actually think the performance wasn't the best performance in the world. I thought a couple of players actually had poor games. However, the result is a great result, man. I think honestly, I think it's an underrated result. I tweeted out last night, and I thoroughly believe this. I think last night's result was actually better than the result we got last year in the first leg when we won 4-3, because then we had to go to the Bernabeu with a 1-goal lead. We come back to the Etihad now. Like I said in the game yesterday, if you would have said to me at the start of the season, LB, you got Real Madrid in a one-off game at the Etihad, you win it, you go through to the final. I'm taking it, man. I'm taking it. I think the result is just a magnificent result, and I don't think we. So you think we played well?
Yes, in a weird way, I do. The way I view it is, I looked at that game last night and I said, I think City still have another gear to go into in terms of like going forward and really going ham for another goal. But I feel City played the exact same way I thought they would when I compared it to, say, the Leipzig away game. We were a lot more cautious because we were aware of the place we were in. We weren't trying to, throw men forward and turn it into a blockbuster game. For me, it felt like City were trying to make it kind of a 1-1 game, a 1-0 game, a team to get a 1-0 lead or something like that, not turn it into another 3-1 or a 5-3 or a 5-4 or something like that. It was go in there, don't be scintillating, don't be tantalizing, go in there, make it kind of rough, try get a goal if you can, and then bring it back to the Etihad, where I believe we'll find a new gear. I believe in the Etihad will look like a completely different team. The team's used to going for broke. The team is used to having all the ball all the time, always attacking. That wasn't the case last night because Real Madrid had quite a bit of possession and they were quite good with it. So City were always going to look a little bit different to what we're used to, which is why I call it a good performance considering we had to switch up things a little bit in terms of our approach to the game. So I'm really happy with it. Yeah, some players could have looked a little bit better, but I think overall I couldn't ask for much more, leaving the Bernabeu with a 1 each. I mean, we got the exact same amount of goals we did last season in the Bernabeu, and we conceded 3 times as less or twice as many less. That's a fantastic result as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree. I think the result is absolutely fantastic. And I think something that I've been mentioning for a couple of weeks, couple of months maybe in the Champions League, and I mentioned it yesterday before the watch along, I think this Manchester City team has learned and has changed its approach to Champions League football. Last year, in years gone by, we wouldn't have played that defensive. We wouldn't have played that pragmatic. And to be honest, we probably would have crumbled under the pressure that we went under. I think this team now is equipped to deal with pressure. I think the team is able to defend. You know, if you think about it, you know, there were large parts of that game where Real Madrid were dominating the ball, knocking it around as we were struggling to get the ball off them. However, you actually think about the chance creation. And I'm looking at the XG here. Real Madrid, they only had 0.7 XG. City had 0.55. So they weren't like they were creating loads of chances. City defended really, really well. It was just that we couldn't really get the ball, especially in that sort of second half. We struggled to get on the ball and play our game. But I think this Manchester City team is now equipped to go to places like that and get a result. We've seen it in Bayern, we've seen it in Leipzig, and now we've seen it here as well. And you know, to a lesser extent, we've seen it in Dortmund as well when we went there in the group stage. I think this City team now is a different team to the team that you've been seeing in the Champions League. They know that they don't have to go to the Bernabeu and score 7 goals. You know, they know. I think that in previous years, I know Jack Grealish said they went there and they wanted to win. Of course they did, but I think in previous years, if you would have said to them before yesterday, "Oh, you go there and get a 1-1," I think they'd be like, "Nah, we have to win. We have to win." I think this team has now learned through experience and a lot of heartache that actually you don't need to do that. It's a 2-legged tie. And then because the Etihad is such a fortress at the moment, we can go there and back ourselves to win. So I think it's a top-class result. I really, really do. You know, I don't think the performance was the best performance in the world, but I think that just makes the result even better. You know what I mean? If we, you know, we've gone there, in that second half, we were outplayed, and we stopped them creating chances, and we got ourselves a goal and got a 1-1. I think it's a great result, and I think you've seen from the reaction after the game, which set of players recognised that it was a good result. That the Real Madrid players seem very down. You see Ancelotti going sick. You've seen Benzema go down the tunnel pretty quickly. You've seen the City players look pretty content with the result, and that's absolutely the correct thing because that result last night is a top result. We'll take it back to the Etihad now, win the game, we're into the final. Simple as, you know, you're going to have to win one of them anyway. I just think it's a fantastic result. You know, obviously we wanted to win. We went there to win. We tried our best in the first half. I thought we played some decent football, not so much in the second half, but it was a professional performance, bro.
It was, and the big thing for me was we went there and showed. We went there and showed we can go to the European champions, the European football club's stadium, the heritage, the prestige, soak up all the pressure and come away with a result that absolutely suits us. We can go there and handle that. I think if we were to show any of our previous Champions League bottle job genetics, it would have come out last night in that venue against that team with that noise, that hostility. I know you guys can't hear the volume when you're doing the watch along. Every time we were in possession, without fail, those Madrid fans were whistling and booing non-stop until we lost possession and Madrid got possession once again. It was a different level of European atmosphere. And if we were to ever crumble, it was going to come last night. Now, I put up a tweet last night myself saying, that'll do. See you back in Stade de Etihad. And I have all these Madrid fans and rival fans from other English clubs saying, oh, Madrid are going to come and humble you next week in the Etihad. On what basis do you think that? On what grounds do you think that? We went to their place and kept them quiet. So what makes you think they're guaranteed to come to our place where we're 25 unbeaten and humble us? This team doesn't look like it's going to be easily humbled. As you and plenty of people believe, it wasn't our best performance and we still came away with a draw. For me, it's a fact of it wasn't our best performance because it was a different approach. I don't think the approach was go blockbuster, go gung-ho, and try and get loads of goals. It was more so make sure you're defensively solid. Make sure you're compact at the back. You're not allowing them to get in behind easily. And that's a win as far as I'm concerned if we can do that. If we don't look great going forward, it is what it is. Just don't leak goals. And that's exactly what we did. It's now a shootout in our place. If you told me that when this draw was made, that we'll have a 1v1 shootout in the Etihad to go to the final, I'd have bit the hand off you. Absolutely. It was pragmatic. It was clever. It was strategic. Reminds me of Leipzig away. And that's what I said before the game.
Yeah. I think as well for me, right, you look at the two performances last night. How much better can Real Madrid get than that at the Etihad? I mean, how far away are Real Madrid yesterday from their theoretical best performance? I don't think they're a million miles away. In that second half, they were magnificent, Real Madrid. They really were. They were dominating us. They were on top of us, closing us down. I think there's very little more that they can squeeze from that performance from yesterday. I'm not saying that they can't get better. I'm saying they probably can. But how much is the gap from what they were last night to their very best? Ask the same question about City. The gap was huge. The gap was huge. We've seen City play 10 times as better as we did yesterday, and we still got a 1-1 result. So, in theory, when we play this next game at the Etihad next week, we hopefully, not guaranteed, of course, but hopefully we will improve quite a lot from yesterday. And hopefully Real Madrid won't improve that much because, like I say, I don't think there's that much more that they can squeeze out. I mean, they played really well. They knocked the ball around well. They dominated possession. They did really well in the midfield battle. They defended Haaland exceptionally well. Can they really get better, much better than that? I don't personally think so. So what I'm thinking is City going to improve and therefore hopefully can do a better performance and then get a better result at the Etihad. But it was a top class result. It really, really was. And I think we should be proud of the team for what they did yesterday because honestly, it's a different type of Manchester City performance. We've not seen those performances in previous years from Manchester City. We would have gone there and made that a basketball game, and it would have been interesting. People always say Manchester City is boring, right? Not in the Champions League. Go and have a look at our Champions League knockout games. There's always about 5-6 goals in each game. This year we've learned we can't do that. That's why we've never had success because we open up games, we make it entertaining. I don't want to see entertaining games in the Champions League when I'm watching my team. I want to see dead games because that's how you get good results. So, top class result. Let's have a look at some of these super chats that are coming. By the way, guys, make sure you drop a like on the stream. Let's get those likes past 200, 500 people in the building already. Big up to Jake with a 2. Says Camavinga over Jude. Been saying he's more suited for Pep. Maybe, mate, but he's not going to leave Real Madrid. I actually thought Camavinga last night was class.
Yes.
Joel says Leipzig, Bayern, and now Real. Etihad, they got a beat down. Let's hope so, bro. Sir Alan says, good result last night. Struggled with our final ball. Defended well under a lot of pressure. Well, we did. And I mean, I give you those stats from yesterday. Despite Real Madrid, in my opinion, outplaying us at large part of the game, their XG was only 0.7 and City's was 0.5. So it wasn't like they were creating loads of chances. They weren't creating loads of chances. They only had 3 more shots than City. We actually had more shots on target than Real Madrid as well. So for as good as they look, and City actually had more ball possession, funny enough. So as good as they looked, Real Madrid, they didn't really do a whole lot with the ball. They got into some dangerous areas, but as soon as they got into the final third for City, we defended really well, as you say. Ruben Diaz did really well. John Stones defended well. I thought Kyle Walker and Akanji did a great job as well. So this is what I'm saying. Big up Midnight says, I'm in love with Kevin De Bruyne. Wow, what a goal, mate. What a goal.
If we go on to win the Champions League, like that Kevin De Bruyne goal will be etched in history. Like it'll be one of the most iconic goals because this guy's cementing his legacy and this is what he does, man. He steps up in the big moments. He pulls something out of the bag when he needed the most and he did it right there, man. Two magnificent goals last night, both of them, I must say. And that's what it took to get the result it did because they couldn't break us down. I think we went with the approach that for once, we're going to allow the opposition to have large parts of the ball. For once, we don't actually care too much about dominating possession, but we trust ourselves in the back and our defenders, as you named them all out. deserved their flowers. They were excellent last night. People telling me Kyle Walker at his age is going to get cooked by Vinicius. It was an unbelievable battle down that side between those two. And they both got the better of each other at times. Vinicius was frustrated. Kyle Walker looked in place. I couldn't have been happier with that, honestly.
Yeah. Big up Turkey says, massive result. This is like last season, but the opposite. Madrid should have killed us when they can. Welcome to the fortress. The Champions League is coming home from Turkey.
Do you know what, bro? Do you know what? Real Madrid will have walked off that pitch last night, and they'll have their meeting this morning about last night, and they'll say, this is not the Man City team we played last year. They'll be frustrated as hell. They'll feel they needed to score more goals last night, and they didn't create enough clear-cut chances. So they'll be saying, where do we find these now? We're relying on ourselves to find a new gear that we possibly haven't had to use all season to beat Manchester City in their place next week. I think they'll be really frustrated with that, and they will analyze and say this is a different team. The City aren't making the mistakes. They're not showing the inexperience that they did last year, and it's probably a bigger challenge than they originally thought.
Yeah, no, I agree. Big up to Anthony as well. Says, when's Nathan Ake back in the team? We need to shut them down early, and we need to get them to get a red card, and then Madrid while having no chance to win, from Anthony with the super chat. We've also got a couple of member chats coming. Big up City for Life. Says, if Haaland scores a hat-trick at the Etihad, Hugh can get that double Haaland Glock 9000.
Hey?
Double-handed Glock 9000. Yeah. And Recruit says, unbeaten in the Champions League this season. Listen, look, we're playing really well, man. Like I say, for me, it's a great result. I think the performance at home is going to improve. And I say, as I said at the start of this stream, only one team was happy coming off that pitch yesterday, and that was Manchester City. They were happy with the result. Real Madrid wouldn't have been happy with that. They know they've now got to come to the Etihad Stadium. City are unbeaten in what, 20 games?
25.
25 games City are unbeaten. We've not lost at the Etihad since Brentford before fucking the World Cup. Do you know what I mean? And City going to improve from yesterday. Mark my word, City will improve when we play Real Madrid from yesterday, 100%. You know, we couldn't get Haaland into the game. Pep Guardiola will work on that, I'm sure, in training and his tactical approach to the second game. And I just think in this next game, man, there's a massive opportunity for City to reach the second ever Champions League final. You just got to win one-off game. Win this one-off game. And I think we would all take that. Yes, you're playing probably the best Champions League team ever. You are playing the best Champions League team ever. But it's in our hands, man. We got to back ourselves to beat Real Madrid at home. And we would have took this. We would have took this at the start of the season. You would have took this before yesterday. This is a great result. And I think we can only go one way from it. The big one for me, obviously, we've got Everton coming up at the weekend. That's on Sunday. That is such a huge game. You know, we've got 4 or 5 days now rest, which is important that the players get their recovery in correctly, because that Everton game away from home at Goodison is going to be difficult. Obviously, they're fighting to stay in their division. I don't think we can afford to rest players in that game. I know a draw is not the worst result. It still keeps it in our hands, but we need to go full strength there. That's the only real thing for us, really. But we get the win against Everton on Sunday, and that'll give us such good belief and momentum, because we'll be coming away from that day. If we win on Sunday, beat Everton, we'll feel that the Premier League is nearly wrapped up. You know, I think we need to win 2 more games out of 3, and one of them's at home, right? So Everton now becomes a massive, massive game. But yeah, yesterday was an interesting tactical battle. There wasn't much space for either team. You know, I think City had some decent space in that first 20 minutes. We were really able to get on the ball, really able to move, and that was really when we needed to capitalise. You know, there was times when Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan were getting in lots of space in that first 20 minutes. Then Real Madrid made some sort of tactical change, and what I think they did is they pushed up a little bit more pushed up the defense a little bit more, and you've seen Vinicius and Rodrigo just tuck in 5 yards, and what that meant is that their midfield was able to drop a little bit, and that space just disappeared. So that's, I think, why we struggled after that sort of first 20-minute period. But look, we fought in there. These Champions League games, when you get to the last stages of Champions League, the last stages of Europa League, whatever you're playing in, right, you're going to have difficult games, and you've got to battle, and they're not going to be easy. You know what I mean? And City yesterday went there, and it's just a fantastic result. We went there to win. Jack Grealish said after the game, we went there to win. But don't get me wrong, a draw is a great result. We're taken back to the Etihad now, and you know, it's going to be crazy. How do you see this second leg going, bro? Do you see much of a tactic? Because I've seen some people debating this yesterday on socials about whether there'll be much tactical difference in the second leg. I actually think it could be a completely different game. I would be surprised if it's a completely different game to yesterday. What do you reckon?
It's really, really hard to judge. I mean, I'd like to think, and I'm pretty confident City will find a new gear and City will say, right, we're in our own place. This is where we will play our own game and we'll look a lot more like the team we've seen having success over the past 2 months. In a way, I could probably see in terms of like player swaps, I could probably see Riyad Mahrez coming back in on the right-hand side and saying, listen, you go out and cook. This is your chance to go out and Champions League yourself like you have done before. I think Madrid will be confused. I think Ancelotti's got a big job on his hands over the next week as to how he decides to approach next week's game, because I think they'll be expecting a storm, a heavy storm to come from Manchester City next week. I think they'll be expecting Erling Haaland to find his way into the game much more than he did last night. I mean, in a way, Real Madrid got lucky last night that Haaland wasn't able to find himself into the game. We weren't able to really find Haaland. That's something I think will rectify, and they're going to have to be cautious and be ready for it. I think they'll sit back a lot more like they have done in recent years. We've seen Real Madrid be happy to sit back, soak up pressure, and then try and nab goals in the counter-attack. I think next week they'll go back to more like what we've seen Real Madrid over the years. I don't know, man. We've got a blockbuster as far as I'm concerned in store next week. I think next week will go down as one for the ages, and this City team is purring right now, and this City team looks more equipped than ever to handle that occasion in our own place, a one-off hit out with Real Madrid. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm really glad we got that result last night. I'm going to next week's game. I can't wait for it. It feels a bit like a Champions League final in a way because we're in such a good position. So yeah, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it. That's all.
Yeah, I think one thing that I would say is I think Mahrez could come in to the home game. I thought Bernardo was a little bit more ineffective than he was against Bayern Munich, and I just think that's due to the type of player that he was up against. So it wouldn't surprise me if Mahrez came in to the second leg. Maybe Foden could go in there as well, but it wouldn't surprise me if Bernardo was to be dropped for that game and Foden or Mahrez come in. Other than that, it's just Ake. Will Ake be fit and available for the game next week? Having said that, I don't think, based on yesterday, if he's not available, I don't think there's any concerns there. I thought Akanji done a really good job. We'll speak about that more in the player ratings later on. But I thought he did a good job. Kyle Walker, as I say. And in fact, it's a little bit funny that the goal actually came because he inverted. He didn't do what he normally does and sort of sticks to the wing. He inverted, caused us a few issues there. But I thought Akanji yesterday had a great game. What did you make of Akanji, actually? I know we'll speak about it more later on, but I've seen a few people say he didn't play well. I thought Akanji had a good game.
I thought he was great. I thought he was really, really good. I thought they were attacking a lot down his side of the pitch. And he didn't look like he was stressing too much. He made some big challenges. Thought his distribution was all right too. I'm not too stressed about whether Nathan Ake is fully fit and available for next week's game because I think Akanji showed that he can perfectly handle that last night. I think Real Madrid may have said it before last night's game that if there's one area of the pitch we feel we can get at Manchester City, it would have been at Akanji because he's one of the very few players in the squad who has not played at that level properly, who's not experienced that level of pressure. So get at him, let Rodrigo have a run at him. I think he was good. I think Rodrigo did get the better of him once or twice or a few times, but for the most part, I thought he was really good. Yeah, I've no issues with Akanji.
Bro, this guy, Kevin De Bruyne, has now scored as many Champions League goals as Zinedine Zidane. Who's got 14, and 11 of those goals have come in the knockout stages. Kevin De Bruyne is just one of the best big game players ever, man. You know what I mean? He just turns up in the big games. He is a quality player. One of the best midfielders that I've ever seen. Another fantastic strike from Kevin De Bruyne. He's just... I think he's an underrated player. I know people think he's mint, you know what I mean? And I know people rate him, but I think he needs to be up there with some of the best midfielders. He needs to be up there with the likes of Iniesta, Modric. You know what I mean? He is Zidane, for example. He's up there, in my opinion. Just as good as these players. His big game record is absolutely stunning. It is. Do you remember that stat that I gave you a couple of weeks ago, bro, where he scored in 38 games in the months of April and May. He's played 38 games in the month of April and May, and he's scored 18 and assisted 14. This
Crazy.
you know what I mean? He's just fantastic. He really, really is. And we're going to need him to be on point at the Etihad. You know what I mean? He's going to, because the thing is, if he's on point Haaland is on point because Haaland gets chances if Kevin De Bruyne's on point. Kevin De Bruyne struggled yesterday to really get in those positions where he could feed Erling Haaland. So if he's on point and he finds those spaces in the Etihad game next week, Haaland will find the spaces because Haaland will always outmaneuver the defenders, always. But if you don't get the ball to him, it's difficult. So, mate, Kevin De Bruyne, what a player. It's just stunning.
What a guy, man. What a guy. And you're right. He didn't have his best game last night because I think that was impacted by we never properly got into a sustained period of our usual flow of, dominating possession and knocking the ball around and crossfield passes. So that would have slowed down and disrupted Kevin De Bruyne, but he took that responsibility on his shoulders to take that shot. I'm not sure there's many other players in the squad would have the kahunas to step up and bang that from 30 yards the way Kevin De Bruyne did. But this guy just backs himself. He knows what he can do. It doesn't matter where he is, what stage he's at. He'll go up and do that. You could tell he really wanted to score last night. He really, really wanted to score last night. And he deserves that. He really deserves that, man. He's a top player. For me, he exceeds anything we've seen in the Premier League in terms of midfield players. People talk about Scholes, Lampard, and Gerrard. This guy is a more complete footballer than all three of those players. And if you disagree, it's because you're being held back by nostalgia and bigger fan bases telling you otherwise. He's up there with Xavi, Zidane's, and Iniesta's, like you said, and he just needs that Champions League to put himself in that category with those players who have done that. And you can tell based off last night's performance and previous performances in the Champions League, he really, really, really is hungry for that. He really wants to win this club a Champions League and cement his own name with the best of the best. Joseph says, should be deluded prick. I assume that's because of my saying he's better than the three English lads. Sorry, he is. He is. He's more complete than all three of those players. I mean, tell me one attribute any three of those players had that Kevin De Bruyne can't do as good as, if not better.
He's better than all three of them.
He is. He needs more respect. It's because he plays for Manchester City and he's currently still a footballer and they're all retired and everyone looks back on those great players and those great eras with so much nostalgia. Kevin De Bruyne is a complete footballer at the highest level and doing it consistently for years now and doesn't get anywhere near enough respect for it.
He's better than Gerrard because he can do everything that Gerrard can do and more. I think he's got more to his game than Lampard. And for me personally, I think Scholes is at the bottom of all four. So for me, I think Kevin De Bruyne is the best midfielder that we've seen out of them levels. I don't see what them players can do that Kevin De Bruyne can't do. You know what I mean? So yeah, Kevin De Bruyne, stunning player, stunning performance from him. And we're making moves, man. We're making moves. It's going to be crazy. This game now coming up on Sunday, man. Everton away. That's a tricky game, man. That's a tricky game, and it's annoying because they've just won a game. Obviously, scored 5 past Brighton, which is a bit of a concern. People saying, "Oh, they might rest players." They're not going to rest players. They've got a week off after the City game until they play Wolves, so they're going to go full strength for it. It's going to be difficult. We do have a good record. Against Everton, and people always say, "Oh, Everton, bogey team." I seen a YouTuber the other day, and I won't name him, right? But seen a YouTuber say, "Oh, City struggle against Everton."
Name drop.
Do you want me to show you the details, bro? Do you want me to show you City struggle against Everton?
Yeah, I want to see this. I want to name and shame who said this.
It is. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but check this out. We drew the last game. This is for Everton. So there's a win for City. Win. You know what I mean?
That goes back to what, 2018?
2017. The last time Everton beat us was in 2017. So I'm not entirely sure. And that was that grim first year Pep Guardiola where we got absolutely roasted. So, I don't know where this myths come from that City struggle against Everton, because we don't struggle against Everton usually. And we didn't struggle against them at home. Even in the game at home when we drew 1-1 early in the season, we battered them. I mean, we did create chances, but we battered them. And then they score a freak goal with Damari Gray, put one into the top corner, and we draw the game. Other than that, we the game was pretty much won. So, it's going to be tricky though. I'm worried about the game. Having said that, it's going to be crazy.
I'm shitting it for that game. I really am. I felt equally as nervous all week about the Everton game as I did about last night's Madrid game because we're still in a Premier League title race. There's no trophy wrapped up. We need to win at Goodison on Saturday. But listen, the players, they need to go into kind of autopilot mode now. There's a maximum of 6 or 7 games left for the season. They need to go into autopilot mode and dig deep and find these results. I have no doubt they will. I fully back the team, but it's tricky, man. It's tricky with Everton on Saturday, then Madrid on Wednesday. So I'm nervous. I'm looking forward to it at the same time. Like I said, I just think this team has found a new approach to these sort of intense periods of the season, and I really like it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Big up to Dave Tim with a member chat. Says, did you see the ball is actually out before the KDB goal? What do you think? Whether it went out or not, the fact is there was a lot of time before the ball went in the net. So you can't go review that on VAR. It's a new phase of play. It's a new passage of play. So
Madrid regained possession after the ball went out of play, and then we went and scored. So.
Yeah. So it's completely irrelevant, man. It's completely irrelevant. You know what I mean? I could have a look at the Real Madrid goal and find something wrong that happened 2 minutes before that. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? That's not how VAR works. VAR is meant to check something in the immediate lead to the goal, not something that happened when the other team had the ball. You know what I mean? That's not how VAR is meant to work. So people clutching at straws, man. And they're probably clutching at straws because they know how much of a bad result that is for Real Madrid. That's not a good result for Real Madrid. That's a bad result for Real Madrid. They would have expected to have won at the Bernabeu last night. City would take the draw. You know what I mean? Because we'll go back to the Etihad and we'll expect to win at the Etihad. Simple as. Big up to Stallion with the super chat says, what's funny about Kevin is a few seconds before he scored, he lost possession. And I said, KDB, get out and bring Foden or Mahrez right wing and Monado in midfield. And then Kevin scores that banger. That's KDB for you. And that's why you can never really take him off in the games where you need to win, because he's always got... How many times now have we seen Kevin De Bruyne not be missing, but maybe be man-marked out the game or struggle to get in the game, and you start to consider whether you should sub him off, and then boom, he pulls one of them out. He does it all the time, man. He does it all the time. I remember Newcastle a couple of years ago, done it there, a stinking game, ended up scoring an absolute rocket volley, top corner. It was a great goal. He does it all the time, man. So, yeah, Kevin De Bruyne, man, you can never take him out. He's a fantastic player. He really, really is. So yeah, crazy. We're gonna have the player ratings actually around 2 o'clock. So make sure you join us for that one, guys. You know what I mean, looking forward to the player ratings. The for people in the Xtra Club in the Discord server, the bots broke, so we can't have the Xtra Club player ratings today. So we'll try and get that fixed for the next one. But you can just come in the chat though and let us know what you think in the chat. But yeah, anything else to say on the game last night, bro?
Buzzing, man. Bring them on. Hit out at the Etihad. Let's see them humble us, as everyone's telling me. Let's see it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the home game, man. I think that we can do it. Sunday is going to be big. You know what I mean? It's going to be a big test. You know, they're playing. The team looks tired to me. Will we see changes? I would imagine so. But we just got to keep that momentum up, man. We got to keep that momentum up. Going there, if we get a win, then we will go into that Wednesday game against Real Madrid next week just absolutely bouncing. We will just be absolutely bouncing. You know what I mean? That's why we've got to get the win on Sunday, just to keep the momentum flowing. Keep that momentum flowing. Right, cool. Views on the referee. I actually thought in the first half he was super poor. I thought he was really poor in the first half. I thought the referee actually did improve in the second half. But I thought the first half, the referee was really poor. Really poor. But other than that, yeah, like I say, second half, I did think he improved. Aldo says, thing with Real Madrid, you can dominate the whole game, boss it even, but out of nowhere, Madrid does something magical and scores. That's fair, Aldo, but so can we, and we did that last night. The second half, we were getting outplayed, and then boom, Kevin De Bruyne puts one in the back of the net. So you are correct, but I think it's completely fair to say that Manchester City can do exactly the same thing, and that's what we did last night in that second half. That second half, we were getting battered, man. You know what I mean? They were all over us. We couldn't get the ball off them. I mean, they were zipping it around. We were like, fucking hell, we're getting battered. He needs to make changes, tactical changes, subs, and then out of nowhere, boom, Kevin De Bruyne puts one in the back of the net. So, yes, you are right, but I think that you can say 100% the same thing applies to City. So, yeah, buzzing. Right, go on.
I was just going to say, people are too fixated on Real Madrid, and they're not paying enough attention to Manchester City in this time. People are saying, oh, Madrid can turn on up, Madrid can do this, Madrid can do that. Fact of the matter is, we went to their place and kept them down to 1 goal and got a goal ourselves. And their goal was a wonder goal. It's not as if they ran rings around us and it was a majestic, team goal. Fantastic strike from Vinicius. But fact of the matter is, we went there and kept them quiet. So people aren't focusing enough on what City can do as well when we get to our place. People don't take into account the record we have at our place this season, the amount of goals we scored, our record in this competition in our own place. So all I'm saying is, don't sleep on us. Why would you sleep on Manchester City right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would also add that this Manchester City team this year in the Champions League is not the same Manchester City team that you've seen over the past 6 years under Pep Guardiola. The way we're playing in Champions League this year is different. We have altered our playing style, and that helps us in the Champions League. We're not scoring 4-3 games, man, against Real Madrid, against Bayern Munich. That ain't happening. We're keeping the goals conceded low. Do you know what I mean? So it's a completely different Manchester City side. It is. Guys, make sure you join us later on for the player ratings. It's going to be at 2 o'clock, man. It's going to be sick. I'm looking forward to it because there's a couple of players I didn't think particularly had good games, man. So I'm looking forward to discuss that. So make sure you join us. This stream is actually automatically going to redirect you. So if you can do us a massive favor, when you get redirected, just smash a thumbs up straight away now. And then later on when we go live, boom, likes already been massively up. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the just a quick stream this morning, bit of a morning debrief. We'll be back for the big one later on. Player ratings, 2 p.m. UK time. Make sure you join us. And guys, we'll see you in the next one. See you in a bit.